Hi, hello, welcome back to the channel. So, today I have another review for you, and it's another Novella review and another Cytoverse slash Skyward series review from Brandon Sanderson. So, if you are incredibly bored of Cytoverse, although we have had a lot of good chats in the comments, so I think that most of the people viewing are interested in Cytoverse. If you are bored of Cytoverse, don't worry, there are non-Cytoverse videos coming. However, today is not one of them. This video is not one of them. We're going to be talking about ReDawn, which is the second novella in the Skyward Flight. So, Skyward Flight is a novella collection which is co-written by Brandon Sanderson and Janci Patterson. So Janci Patterson is also, so she's going to be writing a sequel series to Skyward called Skyward Legacy, which I can already kind of imagine like children of main characters in main book and seeing the main characters from the Skyward series being older, more mature. I think that'll be really fun. So I really hope that's what she's writing. If I'm wrong, correct me obviously. But let's talk about ReDawn. So ReDawn is a collab, as I said, between Brandon Sanderson and Janci Patterson. This particular novella follows Alanique. So she is the alien character that you meet in Starsight. So this review is going to be non-spoiler for ReDawn. So if you want to watch this video having not read ReDawn, then you absolutely can. But in order to explain some of the premises, there may be some extremely minor setup related sort of spoilers for Starsight, Sunreach, and Skyward. I won't talk about things like major character moments, but when you review a sequel, I ran into this trouble, in fact, with Of War and Ruin, one of my favourite books I've read this year. And I basically couldn't talk about anything in the story because to do so would be to spoil major elements of previous books. With ReDawn, it's a little bit easier, but there will be certain things that we can talk about that I might want to talk about that could spoil things for you, especially if you're the kind of person like me who, say for example, you're reading the synopsis of book 6 of the Wheel of Time or something, and it starts off with Rand is journeying to the Mountain Kingdom or whatever. I haven't read Wheel of Time, so I don't know how accurate that is. That tells me, as a person who likes to extrapolate and think about things, that Rand is still alive in book 6, which means that he cannot die in any of the times that he's imperiled in books 1 through 5. If you are extremely averse to even that kind of spoiler, this probably isn't the video for you. Again, that is probably as deep as I'm going to get, the sort of thing you'd see on the book jacket. So, Alanique has been in a medical coma well, in fact, I think she's out of the coma at the beginning of the book, and she's back on her home world. Her homeworld is called ReDawn, and her homeworld, I think, is one of the most interesting aspects of the book, and we'll come back to that later. But so Alanique was for a time held by the humans in a medical coma because they didn't know how to treat her physiology, and during that time, Spencer takes her place using one of Mbot's holographic projectors to impersonate Alanique. And so she goes to the superiority, and that's the whole plot of Starsight, basically. So, post the events of Starsight and the events of Sunreach, where we now have Ambassador Kuna from Starsight is on detritus with the human politicians, and the and Alanik is back on ReDawn, and the ReDawn are also are having discussions with superiority politicians, but kind of from Winzik's militaristic coup faction. You find out basically all about Alanik society. So you find out that there's basically two political parties, that everyone belongs to one or the other, and the Independence Party wants ReDawn to stay alone and to be self-sufficient and to kind of govern itself, whereas the Unity Party wants to unify ReDawn with the superiority and join that kind of galactic union. So it's very, very interesting, and the kind of two-party system very much mirrors American politics, not so much my own British politics. While there are two dominant parties here, there are a lot of other options to vote for that are viable options in many local elections. However, in the US, obviously, you have the two-party system, so you literally have left or right to vote for. And in this book, the Unity, so the pro-superiority faction, do seem to have very, very... they seem to be a lot more militaristic, or aggressive, which is ironic, seeing as, the superiority's whole thing is anti-aggression. They seem much more willing to hurt and kill and attack the Independence faction than the Independence faction is to attack them. The interesting thing I think you get with the ReDawn, the homeworld, that was a lot of stammering. The interesting thing you get with ReDawn is that it is a gas giant, and with a solid core, and the trees, they're gigantic trees that are like the size of cities that all of the people live on. And I thought that was really, really interesting. And also that they can't survive, like animals and people can't survive away from the trees, because the trees create the oxygen they need to live. And there's even trees that, it sounds like there are trees that like go all the way into space. Genuinely an incredibly interesting planet, some really good world building. It's really cool to see Brandon Sanderson, and I would imagine, based on other stuff I've read with Brandon, that the world building of her planet is something that Brandon had put together, because we often see Brandon Sanderson going very, very deep into world building, and one of the things that he does with Stormlight Archive is he has tried there to make a fantasy world that is completely unlike the fantasy worlds that we see in other novels. And I do think he, for the most part, succeeds in Stormlight Archive. And if you had told me that the world building for ReDawn was kind of like a practice round for Stormlight Archive, then I absolutely would believe you, because the how different their world and their society is something that you rarely get from Sanderson books. Detritus is basically just kind of a rocky, deserty place, but ReDawn is a completely different way of life, and I thought that was really, really well done. I really like the character of Alanik. I thought that Alanik trying to integrate with the humans was interesting, and it was really interesting to see the humans of Skyward Flight from Alanik's point of view. So you get to see, for example, that Alanik looks almost in horror at all the humans who are willing to fight and die and kill for what they believe in, whereas Alanik, while she's rated as a fantastic pilot, all she's ever done is play war games and like laser tag. Um, and then suddenly she's thrust into the situation where actual, warfare and ship-to-ship combat is needed, and she feels extremely uncomfortable. And there's a couple of moments where she explicitly calls that out to the humans as well. So while you often might get in many books that a character would be like, oh my god, I have done a murder, but then she also voices how uncomfortable she is with those actions to the other characters, and kind of asks them, how they deal with it, how they are so comfortable with taking lives. And I think that's really, really well done. So the story also has a lot more action than Sunreach did. Slugreach. I still like calling it Slugreach. I saw somebody, one of the subscribers popped in the comments and said, "Oh, all the Slugreach stuff is needed for setup for the next book," and I absolutely agree. All of it was needed, but it's just very, very funny how much slug stuff was in the previous book. So there is less slug science in ReDawn, but there's a lot of slug action. Take that as you will. But they're really, really comfortable and competent in using the slugs for their different cytonic, even is the word I'm looking for. Their different cytonic abilities. That's a terrible prop gag. So they're a lot more comfortable using those cytonic abilities now, which means that we get a lot more cytonic action. We get to see some of the stuff that we haven't seen since Defending Elysium. So Mind Blades comes back, for example, which I thought was really cool. And I kind of had put two and two together with Boomslug from Sunreach, but it was nice to kind of get that confirmed. Also, I would die for Boomslug. I think that it's a very funny name. The fact that he's attached himself to Jordan is very funny, because Jordan's like, I don't know, he's like the exact opposite of something that blows up. And I saw on Brandon's weekly update that there's a Boomslug plushie that is wearing sunglasses, and this slug, oh, he's funny. I've got a lot of time for Boomslug, is all I'm saying. Best slug 2023 is Boomslug. So I really enjoyed, and there was a lot of development for Jorgen in this book. Again, Jorgen is kind of like, he feels like the secondary lead in a lot of these books. And we get a bit more time with FM and with Rig as well, which is great. The interesting thing that I thought of was how they kind of imply some consequences in ReDawn that haven't actually been, well, I don't say, but I think they pretty much outright state that something has happened to a major character off screen in ReDawn, to Mbot specifically. I guess I could say that something has happened to Mbot in ReDawn, and how that has genuinely major implications for the whole of their society. I thought that was really interesting, and it kind of mirrors almost what our society is going through with being able to, and I mean, this is an extremely light touch spoiler, but with manipulating video and being able to use AI to simulate things like Joe Biden's voice, for example. So I thought that was really interesting, and I do hope that we get more of that as the books carry on, and I'd like to see kind of Brandon's point of view on that sort of stuff. So yeah, I think that was a really good plot point. ReDawn, I think I enjoyed because of the kind of more kind of space combat action focus that you get in the latter half of the book, And because of the dynamic between Alanique and the characters that we know and love, so she's kind of this outside observer, which we've never really had before. We've always been a human on the side of the humans, but having this extended point of view from Alanique does get you kind of much more an interesting view, I think, on those characters. So I did enjoy this one more than Sunreach. Although I think I like the character of FM more than Alanique. I like Alanique's perspective, and I like the world building for ReDawn, and I really liked the action. The action was really good and well put together. So yeah, I think that if I was ranking them currently of the books that I've read, I would say Sunreach is probably the worst Skyward book. But again, like, worst is so it's worst in comparison to, you know, 3 very good books. So like I said before, that Skyward is very kind of like a high 4-star, Starsight's kind of like a low 4-star, and then I would probably say that ReDawn is also a low 4-star. It's hard for a novella to have the same kind of impact as a full novel, but I think that you get quite a lot of character arc from Alanique, and the book is nice, is sparing on the other characters to let you have that full arc from her. It's nice to get to know Arturo a little bit more. He's gets a little bit more focus in this novel, having had like 2 scenes in Skyward and then that's it. So it's nice to see a bit more about him. And yeah, I think I don't want to go on too long because this is already quite a long video for a novella. So why don't we cut it there, actually? Yeah, let's cut. You should be getting the review for Cytonic very, very shortly. I've not got very far in it at the moment, but I'm going to be posting this video like 5 days from when I record it. So I'm recording it on Thursday the 9th, and it's going to be going up on Monday because I had a great idea for a Thursday video that I think I can make into a semi-regular Thursday video. So this review is going to be posted next week. And then on Friday will be the regular weekly recap. So if you're not a regular viewer to the channel, apologies for the short programming note there. However, if you like this video, why don't you give it a like? That would help the channel to grow and to have more people find the channel, which is amazing. And it'd be lovely to have kind of a bigger conversation about Skyward. One other thing I would say is if you're a booktuber and you're planning on reading Defiant, the new Skyward book on release, please say in the comments, because I would love to find some people to talk about Defiant, to do like a full spoiler stream sort of thing. So yeah, pop a note in the comments and I will see if we can pull something together like that. Also, if you've read ReDawn and you have some things you want to chat with me about in the comments, please do so. I love talking in the comments. I'm still able to reply to every single comment I get because it's not that many. So take advantage of that. And please share this video with your friends if they've read ReDawn and you want them to, you want to share my opinion as well. Thanks so much for watching, and I will speak to you soon.